Welcome back to the Extra Rep Podcast, guys. I'm Josh.
I'm Liam.
So today what we're going to talk about is accountability, and specifically, obviously, accountability towards whatever goal you are trying to achieve. We know accountability is probably the biggest thing because you can have the greatest program, nutrition plan in the world, but if you're not sticking to it, if you're not accountable, then you're not going to see the results you want at the end of the day. So I think that's probably a really good place to start, Liam, is talking about, I guess, accountability and probably structure around accountability. So if you want to give an example of what do you do in terms of, habits, routines, structure to keep yourself accountable or your goals?
Well, I've actually got a daily accountability calendar. I purchased it online and it's actually got a very set structure of you've got W for a win, L for a loss. You've got your top 3 things of the day that you're supposed to actually do. And then you've got U, which is uncomfortable. So you actually have to write down one thing that is a little bit uncomfortable that you have to do, whether it be send whatever email, have this conversation, do something you don't want to do, call up your accountant, whatever it may be, whatever's uncomfortable, you have to do that. Now, my accountability calendar, I use this just as myself because I don't actually have a coach, and I've coached over 400 people and I've seen what works and what doesn't. But again, that doesn't matter because every single person is different. I find that this works for me. When it comes to health and fitness, it doesn't really matter with me. I can still slip up, but I've been doing it for 11 years. My habits of getting sleep, going to the gym, eating healthy, all that stuff, they don't really change. When I have a certain goal of say physique or calories or anything like that, that's when I need to be a bit more self-accountable. But in terms of a specific method, I just have that daily accountability calendar.
Yeah, it's interesting. Where'd you get that? Amazon?
I know, from Joseph Mansell. The guy who owns Massive Joe's, he's built his own personal brand and he spoke about it on multiple podcasts. And I was like, man, that'd be interesting. And it was only about $50. Okay. When we're off air, I can go downstairs and show you it.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, it's actually a really good investment.
Yeah, I remember what was it? There were, smaller sort of calendars, but it was the same sort of thing, like a weekly,
Yep.
I used to get clients, especially in COVID, it was to simplify things, it was training, steps, nutrition,
Yep.
sleep, tick, 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 tick,
Yep.
From Monday through to Thursday, or they could write down, what their training week was like and they could start ticking things off. And I think that is, probably really underrated for a lot of people, especially, if they're lacking accountability with a coach or whoever, having that something to tick off is probably, a really, really good thing.
Well, think about finances, right? What do people do? They set a budget and they get spreadsheets, they look at all their expenses, income versus expenses, all that stuff. And then they're okay, they know they're accountable because it's they've got a clear picture and a clear number of what they can and can't do. Health can honestly be the exact same thing. And, us as coaches, we use a volume of metrics to track with our clients. We do weekly check-ins. I'm assuming you do weekly check-ins actually. Mm-hmm. Yep, I do weekly check-ins as well. I know some other coaching companies do fortnightly or monthly check-ins, but weekly I found just really keeps people on the ball, knowing that they have to report it every single week, whether sometimes, a little bit longer, things can slip. But having to actually answer that accountability helps a lot of people because otherwise it's so easy for the day to just be gone for everyone and the week to be gone and people think back, what did I actually do this week? Or did I do X, Y, and Z? But when you have to answer a certain amount of questions, you have to track things every single day, it helps give you better clarity. I've had a mate that literally said to me, I know if I just pay you, I'll do it, which is a big thing with accountability as coaches. It's some people just struggle with self-accountability. That's why they know everything they need to do, the uncomfortable growth that they need, and they need to make these things, but they struggle to stick to it. And they say there's a pain point if I pay someone, I get the tools, it's a transaction, they'll hold me accountable to it. And some people just really want that accountability.
Yeah, it's funny, knowing what to do and then actually following through and doing it, two completely different things. Again, you guys could just jump on social media, on ChatGPT, write yourself up a training and nutrition plan, no problem, right? And then you think okay, how many of you are actually going to stick to it and be accountable? Probably a very small majority of you, right? Unless you've had experience doing it before. But I think for a lot of people, it's going to depend on the person, right?
Yep.
If you're highly motivated, but you might find, again, we've worked with before, sort of higher level businessmen people, they've built a company to, millions of dollars. but they're extremely overweight, unhealthy, etc. So it's about I think it's about shifting priorities as well in terms of accountability, because a lot of people seem to, I guess, well, you put their health last, and then of course, other things improve because of that, but then their health suffers, and then unfortunately, like I said, when you're sick, you only have one wish, and that's to be better. When if you have everything else, it's a different story. So I think that is really, really, I really want to hammer home that part, is that you do need to change your beliefs and your priorities around your training and nutrition, and you will see how everything else after that will sort of fall into place as well. And one more thing I want to mention is, like, if you're cheating on your training all the time, chances are you're just cheating on all those other little things in your life that are going to grow you as well. So just by having and keeping your word, keeping to that accountability and structure, I think that's a really, really good way, like I said, to just build accountability in general.
Yeah, but not just accountability, right? Like specifically what you mentioned, like keeping your word, it builds that confidence. And that's how habits sort of sustain, because if you told yourself, say, it could be anything. Let's say you told yourself you weren't going to have an alcoholic drink this week, and you're used to having a beer when you come home from work every day. If you fail on day 3, you might feel a bit of guilt and shame. Then you retry the next week. Then say you last 5 days, you made it to Friday night. Then you have a little bit of guilt and shame, but you still made it 5 days. Then the next week, you actually made it the 7 days. That's still progress. And that actually builds self-accountability, because there's all these things telling us that, okay, we don't have to suffer right now, but we know that we need to suffer right now in the case of like resisting that alcohol or that cigarette or that food, whatever it may be, or that late night and watching one more episode on Netflix before you go to bed when you got to get up at 6 a.m. for work tomorrow morning. It's that we choose to suffer now for the greater reward in the future. It's delayed gratification.
Yeah, and I think that's very interesting when you mentioned delayed gratification there, because the more you can delay, especially when it comes to, your health and fitness and staying accountable, the better result you're going to get. It's honestly just as simple as that. Like if we use dieting as an example, the longer you can diet for, generally speaking, the more weight you're probably going to lose. And again, there's a few caveats to that, but as a general...
As long as you're doing it correctly.
Exactly. As a general rule, like the longer you can resist the urge to go binge and eat 5,000 calories at McDonald's, the more body fat you're probably going to lose in those days where you're like, just one more day. And that's something that I like to do sometimes when, I don't ever go in like super strict deficits, but I probably will start potentially implementing them just to get in and out of diets a bit quicker. Just when I need to clean things up, or I've just let myself go, for a week or two. For us, it's just like a little bit of body fat. We have a certain standard that we want to uphold, and that again goes back to accountability to clients. I'm sure no client would want to be trained by someone who's overweight and not holding the same standards that we're trying to get clients to adhere to as well.
100%. I mean, the role of a personal trainer, right? Some people just can't actually get to the gym. Like they find that's their biggest hurdle, right? They'll say they set the alarm, or they had their gear at the door ready to go. They had their gym bag with them when they went to work, all this stuff. But whatever happens, they know if they are paying a personal trainer and that personal trainer is waiting for them, that guilt of them fucking someone else's time and then paying for it, regardless of them showing up or not, the guilt gets them to actually show up, and it's a form of accountability there. Yeah,
it's funny. Like one of my new clients, shout out to you, Francis. She reached out to me, like she'd had the gym membership for like a year, and she's like, I've been 3 times because I was just terrified. I didn't know what I was doing in terms of going into the actual gym. So like what we did for her, for example, is instead of just being like, okay, here's a workout for you to do and here's all these machines, I was like, okay, where do you feel most comfortable in the gym? You feel most comfortable on the cardio equipment? Okay, let's start 10 minutes on the cardio equipment. From there, okay, what do you feel most comfortable doing? Oh, I can squat, I can row, I can be on the mat on the floor. Okay, we'll build you a little circuit that you can do in one spot, in the corner, away from everyone, and you don't have to worry about it. And now it's been 4 weeks, and now she's like, I want to do a machine program, give me all the leg stuff. So it's just, like I said, starting really small, and that, again, having someone to be accountable to, but someone to just slowly progress you from where you are, which might be, a very beginner level, and just slowly bringing you up and up and up. And that's what's going to get you, your results, obviously, and is going to enable you to keep, accountable as well.
Well, one big thing there is you notice how her behavior changed within the environment that she started to become more comfortable in. And this is a big one for people with accountability, right? Because if they're in an environment that will generally dictate a lot of their results, because let's say if you go to the workplace, you're hanging around with the same co-workers for 8 to 10 hours, however long, and all of them heat up their lunch at, lunchtime, and they're eating nothing but pizza leftovers, and it smells in the office, and they're eating crap, and you're on a health kick, eventually you might give in, right? Whereas if you're around a high performing team, everyone's eating healthy and people are like driven for certain goals and pushing, then you realize you become one of those people as well. So an environment of, thriving people as well really helps with a form of accountability. And this is why I give people a lot of leeway, because a lot of the times their actions, their habits, all those things, they're not actually theirs. They're other people's. They're just sort of ingrained in them, whether it be ingrained, brought up from childhood, whether it could be a genetic factor. Like we know now that like some people are genetically addicted to things more than others. Some people have a disposition for, say, like gaming. Some people have a disposition for alcohol. Like everyone is different. Some people have a huge addiction to the dopamine that food gives them, right? Everyone's different, right? So it could be genetic, it could be environmental. So all the little things that you can do to set yourself up for success really helps when it comes to accountability.
Yeah. And I think going back to that, it's like you're probably, if you hang around 4 alcoholics, you're going to be the 5th one. You hang around 4 millionaires, you're probably going to be the 5th one, right? You hang around 4 people who look after themselves, you're going to start looking after yourself because, like you said, people rub off on you.
Yep.
And like, let's use me as an example. Like I train out of an Anytime Fitness, pretty decent. I enjoy the Anytime Fitness. If I, for some reason, had to go train at the Derrimut, right? Like I've been into a Derrimut once. Personally, I hated it. There was equipment everywhere. There were dickheads everywhere. Just not a fan, right? Had to wait, 75 minutes for a bloody chest fly.
Yep.
That would then probably lead me to train less, with less intensity, because I'm like, I've got to come in. I've got to put all these weights away. There are more barriers to entry.
Yep.
So I think the more you can simplify things as well, especially when it comes to accountability, most people start, going from, lazy, overweight, always eating junk food, and they go, I need to cut everything out straight away. And it's like, it's not going to happen, right? Pick one thing, start with one thing, whether that's, okay, I'm just going to get up every morning at the same time I said I was, I'm going to go out and walk 20 minutes, It can be fucking 1 minute. Just, it's that habit of starting something that's going to build that accountability. And then you can start what we call like habit stacking, where start one habit, stack another on top, stack another on top. And then before you know it, you're a completely changed person in a few months.
And it becomes easier as you build that self-confidence, right?
Exactly.
Like we do know, and we're relaying a lot of the same information, but it comes down to, we know what we need to do to get better. The majority of us do. We know that, okay, we need to either save more money, eat less calories, work out more, I need to sleep better, I need to fix these relationships, whatever it may be. We know that we need to do these things. We know if we haven't visited the dentist in 2 years, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we just don't make that decision sometimes. We need someone else sometimes to be like, oh, hey, remember when you told me your goal at New Year's was to write this book? How's that coming along? And then you're like, shit, it's August. What do you mean? Like, crap, yes, thank you for reminding me. That's a form of accountability. Like even telling people your aspirations, your goals, or your changes actually ingrains that, because you're like, shit, this is real now. Other people know about it. And there's a sense of pain when someone asks you, oh, hey, how's that running plan that you mentioned you were coming along? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. My knees hurt, got the wrong shoes, X, Y, and Z excuses. But you realize, oh, crap, other people are paying attention.
And I think even just going back, it's sort of, if you want to simplify it and you're like, okay, I want to start being accountable, but I don't really, know what to do. The best thing you can do is start tracking some sort of data, some sort, right?
Yep.
Whether it's, okay, I know I've got up every morning, whether it's, using your planner, ticking some small wins, picking one thing, starting to win at that, and just keep compounding those wins, because even as small as they'll be, they'll start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They'll start becoming more and more consistent. And like I said, it'll turn into more of a lifestyle element if you're just like, I wake up, I do this. I put on my story a couple of days ago that it's like, I didn't feel like training. I didn't feel like going for a walk, but because it was mid-morning, I was just like, and I'm already at the gym, which helps.
Yep.
I was like, I'll just train, do one set, see how I feel. Had a great workout.
Yep.
Same with the walk. I was like, I don't really feel like walking. Went out walking, started feeling better.
Yep.
So it is funny how, your body and mind will be a bit like, but I think the less you move, the less your body wants to move. The more you do move, the more your body wants to move. And it goes for, like I said, training, nutrition as well. The more healthy food you eat, the more you're going to start craving that sort of food as well, and vice versa with the junk food.
But it's progression as well, right? Because you see progression, you build momentum, and once you build momentum, it's quite hard to stop, because when you stop, you have to build that momentum again. Like, for example, I can give people just a thing that I did was last year I made myself a commitment, which I wholeheartedly failed, which was I was going to post. I started my business page last year and I was going to post on my business page every single day. I think I got 8 months in, and then do you remember last year, it was around this time when you and I got really sick? We both copped that thing, and we were going to the infrared saunas at Braybrook or whatever. Yeah, that just completely ruined me. And I, didn't have the creative energy. Like, I was all blocked up. I wasn't sleeping properly. And I ended up missing a couple days of content, and then
should have just reposted.
That's the thing, right? But because I made that commitment to myself, I sort of got down on myself and all that stuff and all this, and I was just like, you know what? Okay, I had to build the momentum back up again. This year, touch wood, I haven't failed just yet, and I made myself, because I wanted to say I made a whole year of being consistent, because I promised that to myself. And there are many days where I'm tired. I've got no ideas. I don't want to be on front of the camera. I woke up with a pimple, or I had a bad hair day, or haven't been to the barber yet. Like, whatever it may be, you come up with all the excuses. Your head will talk you out of it, right? But I can still sit here with a smile on my face saying that I've still done it.
Yeah, and I think those days where, like I said, shit happens, or, the anxiety creeps in, or whatever it might be, you've had a shit day because of your boss, your coworker, your partner, whatever it is, right?
And it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
The thing.
Yeah, you've got to accept that those are the days where, if you can do it on those days, then the other days are easy. You know what I mean? It's like, if you just think, okay, I just need to tick off, the minimum requirement. And in terms of accountability, I always say, if you can get stuff done, early in the morning, it's always going to help things. If you need to go for a walk and you finish work at 5, and then you're like, oh, I always just get on the couch, and then as soon as I'm on the couch, I don't leave.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, get into a position where you're like, don't sit yourself on the couch. If you get home, drop your bag, grab the dog or whatever, and just go out for a walk straight away. And you'll be amazed, the difference that makes over weeks, months, and years.
If you have a dog, that is. But it's like,
or walk yourself.
That's a big thing, right? Like, a dog is a form of accountability, because that dog will stare at you on the couch until you get up and walk them. They know.
Oh, yeah.
You need to give them love and attention. Yes, there's also a shit ton of health benefits, oxytocin, all that stuff from having a pet. But people sometimes buy a dog just to not only alleviate loneliness, but because of that accountability. They know they have to walk them twice a day, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And I think sort of the main point I want to make with accountability is you've got to know what to be accountable to. Like, you've got to break down, okay, like, what's my goal? Like, as an example, my goal is fat loss. Okay, we know there's going to be a combination of probably moving a little more, eating a little less, right? We know, obviously, that is very, very simplified. But if you're a perfect human, no issues, sleep well, do all the right things, you go, okay, it's like my dog, Pablo, right? Pablo gets fat. Like, what am I going to do with Pablo? I'm going to walk her a little more. I'm going to feed her portion sizes a little bit less, right?
Or tell Emma to stop feeding.
Yeah, do that. But it's very similar. Obviously, as humans, we're a lot different than that, right? But that is the primary principle. If you can think in terms of accountability, be like, okay, can I do something accountable that enables me to move a bit more throughout the week? Or can I do something accountable that allows me to eat a few less calories throughout the week? And it's like, if you can then obviously maximize both of those, that's going to send you well on your way. And then obviously you can start banking wins from there.
That's good, because I'd actually like to harp on just really back onto environment, because it relates to a lot of things you just mentioned there, and like coming home with the dog and stuff. We are now at an age where people work multifaceted. So like, they work from the office, and a lot of the times when they can and when they want to, they work from home. Now, both are different ballparks, right? One, you're getting watched, one, you're not. You can easily slip up on all the things because something's in the pantry waiting for you. Something's in the fridge or the freezer waiting for you. You can slip up on all these things when you're at home, right? No one's going to know if, you played a bit of Xbox during the day and you said you were in a meeting with your camera turned off. Some places might find out, but it's like, that's the thing, right? Like the barrier to entry to be the best version of yourself when you're in that certain environment, depending on where you thrive, little things like that can matter, because we are at a place now where people are working from home. We've noticed this since COVID, which it wasn't the norm. I know a lot of places are starting to really push to get people back into the office. But honestly, people are very comfortable working from home.
Yeah. I think even back to the office, it's like it can go the opposite way. Like the amount of clients I've seen where, Janet will bring in her cookies or like it's my birthday, and then they throw a slice of cake in, I'll just leave it at your desk. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it can be just as bad, if not worse, So again, going back to environment, it is all about your environment, and maybe have a think like, okay, is my workplace environment bad? Do I have to try and remove myself from like the lunchtime talks and things like that? Because I know if I do that, I'll start having a cookie, a slice of cake, whatever it may be, have my healthy food, bring in. And then if you can, try and convince another coworker. I find is always a really good thing, because if there's two of you, against the whole company or whatever it is, whoever's in the break room, it's going to be much better than your willpower by itself. If you're both accountable to each other, it's going to be really, really easy to be like, nah, no slice of cake for me. Like, I actually don't even want it. Like, I'm just eating it because it's there. And then same thing at home. If it's like with your partner or kids or whoever, make a little challenge with them. Be like, okay, we're not going to have this until this time, until dad loses 5 kilos or this happens. And then, make a celebration out of it, make a win out of it. Because again, little dopamine spike, it's going to hold you to more accountability. And again, if you can get that dopamine spike from the good behaviors as opposed to the bad behaviors of, junk food, alcohol, etc., you're going to see that sort of, we're rewiring in the brain almost towards, things you want to do as opposed to things you want to move away from.
And honestly, like, I'd love to harp on about just what you mentioned there about the bad behaviors and the good behaviors, because there's no easy pathway out of the bad behaviors. It really is those little wins of resistance and momentum that get you there along the way. No one just goes cold turkey and quits smoking. Like, well, some do, right? But they still know the struggles that go on. Some, say like, okay, I went from 1 pack a day to half a pack a day and all that stuff like that. Same with alcohol, same with food, whatever it may be, right? Some people, yes, they can just go cold turkey and it works. But one of the sayings I heard was, you're never, it's like you're an addict and you're never fully recovered. You're always in rehab, but you just manage it.
Yeah. I think once you have the tools to manage those things as well, sometimes you just need someone to give you the tools or a way that is, working for you or gets you to understand in a way that others haven't, and that's why, some of these diet methods are so popular. Like, someone could be like, oh, I just don't really eat carbs, I don't like them. And you go, okay, so here's keto. And they go, oh, wow, like I'm losing all this weight and I feel good. And it's like, that's fantastic. And we won't get into the, the intrinsic, differences in terms of different diets. But I think the first thing you need to do is find something that works. Obviously, there's going to be some willpower and accountability involved. Start that and start sticking with it. And you'll finding the easiest way, with path of least resistance forward is probably going to be the best way forward in terms of starting to build some accountability. And then you can take things to the next level from there.
Definitely. So, I mean, just to touch on everything we've talked about, we can sort of recap it here. It's like everything when it comes to accountability, it's like we know that self-accountability is a thing. We want to build confidence and momentum. Yes, you can hire out other people to give you tools and to help you with accountability if you struggle with it. And also just start from a data point. Try and get as much data as possible. And that really helps you just see things clearly. And I would say the last one for me is what I touched on at the start: set daily goals and tasks. Like, really small ones go a long way. It's like, you could set a 1-year goal, or you can set 365 one-day goals and then look at the progress you've made at the end of the year and be like, holy shit.
Yeah, I think like you said, breaking that down's a really good thing. And the last thing I would mention is, having a friend or family member or someone to keep you accountable is 100%, going to help you there as well. But I think that covers it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully you guys are on your way to being a lot more accountable. Of course, if you need some extra accountability, want to take your results to the next level, you can contact myself and Liam, me at Action Fitness Nutrition, or Liam at Coach Liam C. Murphy. But until next time, guys, we'll see you in the next podcast.
See you guys.